part of this lapidary craft and hobby involves being prepared for when something breaks or fails. I'm sitting here loading up some more of my barrels for the Beast in the QT12, and when I was cleaning it out, looky here. Got a hole. See, got a hole. So it is time to replace it. As part of being prepared, what I did is I ordered a bunch of replacement lids several years ago from the Rock Shed. So all I have to do is put that on this after I clean it up and start rolling. I don't have to mess with a tire patch. I don't have to mess with any other type of patches or anything like that. Just think, when you put a tire patch on there and the tire patch starts to fail, it's a way for grit to get caught up in there. And yes, this is very expensive. At the time, I paid a whole $7.25 each. And all I have to do is take the time to replace it. But there's other things too. This is because we all know that things break. On my Beast of a tumbler that I built, there's one problem with it, and that is the slave belt. There it is. I discovered right away that that slave belt does not last very long. So I went and bought a bunch of them. So when it breaks, I immediately replace it and back to work. So let's look at the saw here. So what do we do about the saw when something fails? Well, generally when something fails with the saw, what is it that goes out? It's a bearing or the saw blade. So not only do I have one, but I have two spare saw blades. Because I am a firm believer in not having any downtime due to a piece of equipment. I've got bearings. I've got extra belts that's on the side. I've got all kinds of stuff for it. Also, as part of being prepared for my 10-inch saw, I have plenty of saw blades. Because when this one went down, because of that bad spot right there, a rock fractured or something happened to it and it sent a rock flying, I was able to immediately go across, pick another one up. But I have them for half a millimeter, 3/10 of a millimeter, or 3/10 of a millimeter, 7/10 of a millimeter. I've got the Covington Gold Series. I've got the MK301, and I also have a glass blade. Jaws, you're cutting rocks. We need glass for. Well, I also cut obsidian. What's obsidian? So, and unfortunately, after looking at these and pulling them out, I screwed up. I didn't put a nice coat of oil on these before I took them out of the saw and set them aside. Oops. Don't be like me on that aspect. So, in addition to it, I'm always looking for other parts and pieces for tumblers. Yes, I have 12-pound tumblers. These are lower tone. This frame is an old lower tone QT-NR, which was the predecessor to the QT12. You know what sucks about this? It was stored here in Western Oregon in a garage fairly close to the coast for many years. The motor was robbed off of it. It was used only a handful of times because the inside of the barrel is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely no wear on the lid. And it was just let to rot. So I'll hang on to the frame, but I don't think I'll need it. If there's somebody who needs a frame, let me know. I might send this to you. Yeah, needs new bushings. So it's in pretty bad shape, that part. But I'm keeping the barrel to go with the other ones I have sitting in storage because of waiting on a day where one of the ones that you just saw go out. The bottom is going to blow out in one of them probably in the next few years. This one here came from the same garage that was being cleaned out. And this one might actually have a chance of working. So clean things up. These are more of like a bushing rather than a bearing. It'll clean things up, see how things go. But again, the barrel has very little use. Look at the lid on that. Hardly any use whatsoever on it anywhere. So those are very good. Couple of good finds. Nothing else. The barrels alone are well over $100 a piece. If everything else is garbage, that's still a score. So as part of being prepared as a lapidary craftsman is I am always looking for parts and pieces for the equipment that I have and ways to make my life easier by making sure I've got plenty of saw blades on hand. I bought that one. I bought that one. I bought one or two of those. And a lot of the other ones were gifts. Or they were in an estate sale that we acquired. In addition to being ready for other things, and being prepared for your lapidary hobby and craft, plenty of polish and grit. Now, this is 36 grit. There's probably about 20 pounds of that. I don't use that this much, so that's okay. 20 pounds of that on hand is more than enough. I am out of 4670 though. And that's what I do use a fair amount. And in the barrels that you saw over there, I would be using it in one of them if I had it. But I'm out. So when I do my annual lapidary replenishment, I will order some more. Another one is your 6090 grit. Now I'm rolling 48 pounds usually, so I go through this fairly quickly. Each barrel takes 1 cup. So I go through that fairly quickly. And I have a total of 50 pounds on hand. 60 pounds. There's 5 sitting over there, and there's 1 here. So I got 60 pounds. Now, this is the Rock Shed 120-220. This is the medium grit from the Rock Shed. This is Highland Park 120. And this is Highland Park 220. So this is a blend of this 120 and a blend of this 220. I've been experimenting with the 120 on this pocket rock material, and it's been doing pretty good. I used this on obsidian, and I was impressed. But I still know exactly what's going to happen with this when I run this in any batch: obsidian, chert, agate, jasper, common opal, don't care, whatever it is. I know what's going to happen with this. I'm still learning what's going to happen here. As well as I'm learning with the Highland Park, because I did a video on this, comparing this to the Rock Shed 6090. And the Highland Park grit size, the size of the grains of grit, is generally more towards the 90 side, while the Rock Shed was more towards the 60 side. So there was a learning process with this. That's why I say it's all depending on the brand and the source of your grit and polish on how well you're going to get a shine. So this is all I've got left of the 120-220. I'm going to hold off on it, on ordering more, because I have 40 pounds of this and another 40 pounds of this. And so by the time I'm used this here up, I'll make a determination. Do I want to continue using this from Highland Park, or do I want to go back to the Rock Shed? Don't know. Then we have aluminum oxide. You know, I have a problem because I grabbed this thinking this was my medium, my pre-polish. This is not. My pre-polish is 500 grit aluminum oxide. So I've got to order some more. I have plenty left. I have almost 5 pounds in my container. So add a half a teaspoon per barrel. That's going to last a long time. And then your polish. So when I ordered, I'm going to order probably 10 pounds of the 500 grit. And I'll order another 5 pounds of the aluminum oxide polish. This is so it's all here. It's on hand. And you know, if something happens to me financially in the future where I'm unable to work or something, I have plenty of supplies on hand to keep myself going. Now let's go inside again and talk about something else that we need to keep on hand if you are into cabochon making. Okay, this is my typical 6-wheel. This is a typical 6-wheel cabochon machine. This one was made by Loretone, sold by Kingsley North. I've got the Kingsley North serial number on the back. Now, all the wheels here are very important. So if one of them goes bad, what do? Replace it immediately. I acquired these 4 from a buddy of mine and acquired them used. And they still have plenty of life left on them. So there's your 280, your 600, this is your 1200, and this is the 3000. That 3000's got more life on it than what mine down there does. So I got these for pennies on the dollar. But see, I also run my hard wheels, or sintered wheels. Very heavy, very dense. 80 grit, 220 grit, and then I also have a 140 grit. But this is all like a bronze that's got diamond in it all the way through. This is many years use of work here. But what if one gets chipped? Say my 220 gets chipped and I need to work on a project right now. Well, then I step back in technology and I grab my 220 grit diamond plated. This is what's more common. This is what the vast majority of cabochon makers use. And you can see there's lots of diamond on it. You can see the reflection. If the light was better, you could see that there's diamond on that too. But this is my backup. And there's my 80 grit backup for that 80 grit. So it is different. There you go. Diamond flat grinding wheels. 6 inch by 1 inch by 1.5 inch. So, yeah. Always have to have backups. Now, we're going to talk about the flat lap. Need I say more? And there's more. So you could never have enough flat lap discs. And same with for the Intarsia machine. And they take the same disc. So with what I'm doing is, boy, you know, I should have planned ahead for this. My shop is a mess. Generally, I run a 180 grit on this, and I run a 240 or a 360 grit on this. But if they go bad, I've got plenty in stock. The key is to minimize downtime, minimize your level of stress. But yes, another thing is, I know all this costs money. Used. This machine, used. I did buy these new. Those two came with the machine. Many of these flat lap discs came from an estate or were actually given to me by a buddy of mine. Yeah. If you're resourceful, you can build up your supply of parts and pieces and consumables fairly quickly. Make a budget. Make your purchases once or twice a year. And go for it. But the thing is, though, I keep hearing things, especially, well, it's not running now, but for my Tumbler. I hear a lot of things where people are saying, well, I don't have any grit. Well, why? Well, I just haven't bought any or I ran out. And there's people out there who want to work on their hobbies, to tumble rocks, to make them shiny, or to make a cabochon, which this is one in progress. And I keep hearing excuses of, well, my wheel got ripped and I can't get one right now, so I just can't do it. And so they're sitting there bummed because they can't do it. Plan ahead for when something breaks that your downtime is minimal. This is my planning ahead along with those. As well as having the flat lap discs, those extra inner lids for your tumbler barrels, extra grit, extra polish. Okay, this seems like almost like a lecture, but hopefully you guys understand that it's important for you to ensure that you've got proper replacement parts and pieces. For the oh crap scenario, when something goes wrong, you can immediately react accordingly and fix the problem. And continue to have fun. I hear so much frustration out there online that people are not having fun because something breaks and they don't get it fixed. Or they just put the machine up and then it's in their way. And man, I just get like, come on, people. So that's why I thought this was important. When that lid went bad, I immediately came back here, pulled another one off the shelf and thinking, you know, I need to talk to you guys about this. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Just remember, everyone's life's an adventure. Then there's mine, working on plenty of replacement parts and consumables. This is the Adventures of Josh Jr. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.